Welcome back to the Short Game Podcast. It is Friday, March 27th. We are closing out the Tycoon's ledger. You surround yourself with people who tell you exactly what you want to hear. You pitch a terrible idea, and your friends tell you it is genius just to protect your feelings. You are building a comfortable little echo chamber, and it is going to bankrupt you. If your ego is too fragile to handle the brutal truth, you have absolutely no business trying to build an empire. Today, we are reading the Ultimate Tycoon Manual for Absolute Reality Principles by Ray Dalio. We are talking about radical transparency and why the smartest guys in the room actively hunt for people to tell them they are wrong. At NexYear, I do not hire cheerleaders. If I design a logistics route that is going to fail, I expect my team to look me in the eye and tell me it is garbage before it costs us a VIP client. A tycoon cares about being accurate, not about being right. Let's close out the week.
What's your name?
My name is Tom Shelby.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius.
King Ragnar. That is my name.
Yo soy Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria.
I'm Batman.
This is Jon Snow. He's king in the north.
My name is Asax Schrader.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
Antonio Montana.
My name is Patrick Bateman.
My name is Walter Hartwell White.
My name is Gustavo, but you can call me Gus.
Welcome back to the Short Game. I am your host, Drew Miner. This is episode 35. We are currently in the middle of our theme week called the Tycoon's Ledger, where we talk about capital, risk, and the cold, hard reality of building an empire. Let us start this episode with a very hard, very uncomfortable question. When was the last time somebody pointed out a massive flaw in your work, your relationship, or your physical shape, and you actually just sat there and took it? Seriously, think about the last time you received completely valid criticism. What did your brain immediately do? I guarantee that you instantly went on the defensive. You immediately started building a massive fortress around your fragile little ego. You came up with 10 different reasons why they were wrong, why they do not understand your unique situation, or why they are just hating on your hustle. The listener gets incredibly defensive the second someone points out a flaw because they are terrified of the truth. You prioritize protecting your feelings over actually protecting your progress, and I am here to tell you that is absolute clown behavior. It is the exact reason why most people stay stuck in the exact same spot year after year, complaining about the same exact problems. You cannot fix a problem if you refuse to look at it. If you surround yourself with people who just tell you what you want to hear, you are going to fail. You are setting yourself up for a catastrophic reality check. Today, we are tearing that entire mindset down to the studs. We are looking at a book that completely changed how I operate, both as the founder of NexYear and just as a human being walking the earth. The book is Principles by Ray Dalio. If you do not know who Ray Dalio is, you need to wake up and pay attention. He founded Bridgewater Associates out of his 2-bedroom apartment back in 1975. He built it into the largest and most successful hedge fund in the history of the world. They manage billions of dollars and navigate the most complex economic markets on the planet. You do not get to that level of elite performance by playing nice, or worrying about whether your junior analyst had his feelings hurt in a morning meeting. You get there by being relentlessly obsessed with reality. Dalio operates on a very simple, very ruthless framework. He believes that understanding what is true is the absolute most essential foundation for success. He says that having the truth on your side is extremely powerful, even if that truth is incredibly scary in the moment. But to get to the raw truth, you have to completely kill your ego. Dalio built the culture of Bridgewater on 2 massive, uncompromisable pillars. Those pillars are radical truth and radical transparency. Let us break those concepts down because they sound like generic corporate buzzwords, but they are actually tactical weapons. Radical truth means you absolutely do not filter your thoughts. You do not say one thing to someone's face and another thing behind their back by the water cooler. If you think an idea is stupid, you say it is stupid. Dalio says you must create an environment where everyone has the right to understand what makes sense, and absolutely no one has the right to hold a critical opinion without speaking up about it. Think about how wild that concept is for a second. In a normal company or a normal friend group, you keep your mouth shut to keep the peace. You watch your buddy make a terrible business decision because you do not want to cause drama or ruin the vibe. At Bridgewater, keeping your mouth shut when you see a fatal flaw is practically a fireable offense. You are obligated to put your honest thoughts on the table. And then there is radical transparency. This is where the Bridgewater culture gets truly crazy. Dalio essentially records almost every single meeting and makes it available to the entire company. Why would he do that? Because secrets create toxic office politics. Secrets create factions, whispers, and back-channel rumors. When everything is completely out in the open, people are forced to operate with absolute integrity. Dalio says that people who are one way on the inside and another way on the outside become deeply conflicted. They lose touch with their own core values. If you are hiding things, you are wasting valuable mental energy that could be used to solve problems. Radical transparency strips away the corporate politics and forces everyone to just deal with the raw, unfiltered reality of the situation. Now, you are probably wondering how a company actually functions if everyone is just brutally honest with each other all the time. Does it not just turn into total chaos and constant fighting? No, it does not, because Dalio engineered what he famously calls an idea meritocracy. This is the absolute holy grail of his management philosophy. An idea meritocracy is a system where the best idea wins, regardless of who it came from. It is not an autocracy where the boss dictates everything and everyone just blindly follows. But it is also definitely not a democracy where everyone's opinion holds the exact same weight. Dalio says that treating all opinions as equally valuable is dumb and arrogant. Think about it logically for a second. If I am asking for advice on my golf swing, I am not going to weigh the opinion of a guy who picked up a club yesterday the exact same way I weighed the opinion of Tiger Woods. That would be insane. So Bridgewater uses a concept called believability-weighted decision-making. If you have a proven track record of successfully doing a specific thing, and you can logically explain your reasoning, your opinion on that thing is heavily weighted. If you are a rookie, you get to speak, and you get to ask questions, but your opinion does not drive the ship. To track this, they actually use tools like the dot collector and baseball cards. They collect data on every single employee's performance, their strengths, their weaknesses, and their believability in specific areas. But here's the beautiful part of the idea meritocracy. It mathematically protects the organization from the fragile ego of the boss. Dalio engineered a system where a 22-year-old intern could walk right up to him, the billionaire founder of the company, and tell him that his latest investment thesis was absolute garbage. And if that intern had the hard data and the logic to prove it, Dalio would listen. He would concede the point. Explain why tycoons do not care about being right. Tycoons only care about finding out what is right. Your ego desperately wants to be right. Your ego wants to look smart and dominant in front of the entire room. But the market does not care if you look smart in a boardroom. The market only pays out cash when you are actually right. If you let your ego blind you to a better idea just because it came from someone younger or lower on the corporate totem pole, you are bleeding money. You are actively destroying your own success because of your pride. Dalio understood this mechanism better than anyone else in finance. He realized that human beings are fundamentally wired to be defensive. We have this lower-level brain that treats a verbal critique of our ideas exactly like a physical attack in the jungle. When someone says your spreadsheet is wrong, your amygdala fires off like a tiger is jumping out of the bushes. You get hot, your heart rate spikes, and you start fighting back. Dalio literally calls this the dumb shit syndrome. He says you have to acknowledge your weaknesses. You have to be willing to say out loud, I know I am a dumb shit, but I would just like to know why this is the case. When you approach life with that extreme level of humility, you move beyond your ego and you actually start learning. You have to violently separate your self-worth from your current level of knowledge. Dalio has a very specific mathematical formula for this evolution. He says pain plus reflection equals progress. When you make a massive mistake, it hurts. You lose a client, you fail a major test, you ruin a relationship. Most people immediately run away from that pain. They blame the referee, they blame their boss, they blame the macroeconomic climate. They never sit down and reflect. And because they absolutely never reflect, they never progress. They just keep making the exact same painful mistakes over and over again until they die. At Bridgewater, they have a system called the issues log. Every single mistake, every single deviation from the standard gets permanently logged into a database. It is mandatory. They do not log it to punish people or make them feel bad. They log it so they can accurately diagnose the root cause of the problem. Dalio views his company and his entire life like a complex machine. You have the design of the machine, and you have the people who are operating the machine. If the machine produces a bad outcome, you do not just get mad and yell at everyone. You look under the hood of the machine. Did the system design fail? Or did the specific people fail? You have to be a hyper-realist. You have to accept reality exactly as it is, not as you wish it to be. Dalio talks about the critical need to synthesize the dots. If someone keeps making the exact same mistake, you have an identifiable pattern. You cannot just ignore that pattern because you like the person or because you go to the same gym. You absolutely cannot lower the bar. Dalio explicitly says, do not lower the bar. If someone cannot operate consistently with the requirements of excellence and radical truth, they have to leave the company. It sounds incredibly harsh, but it is actually the most compassionate way to live your life. When you tolerate incompetence, you pull your entire team down into the mud. You lie to the person who is failing by letting them mistakenly think they are doing okay, and you betray the high performers who are actually pulling their weight. Dalio created a specific 5-step process to guarantee success. First, you set clear goals. Second, you identify the problems that stand in the way of those goals, and you do not tolerate them. Third, you accurately diagnose the root causes of those problems. Fourth, you design a plan to get around them. Fifth, you execute the tasks required to push the design through to completion. You have to do all 5 steps, and you have to do them brutally. To do this, Dalio demands that you communicate properly. He talks about above-the-line and below-the-line thinking. Above-the-line thinking is focusing on the major points and the big picture. Below-the-line thinking is getting lost in the minor, irrelevant details. If you get dragged below the line during a debate, you are wasting time. This is exactly why you have to completely stop surrounding yourself with yes men. Yes men are parasites. They feed on your ego and give you absolutely nothing in return. They tell you your ideas are brilliant when they are actually horribly flawed. They nod their heads in meetings because they are too cowardly to risk a confrontation with you. But when the project crashes and burns, they are not the ones who take the financial hit. You are. Dalio says that if you are the only one thinking, the results will absolutely suffer. You desperately need people who will push back on your ideas. You need people who will look you in the eye and say, Drew, that is a terrible idea, and here is the hard data proving it. Dalio never makes an important decision without triangulating his view with at least 3 believable people. He actively seeks out the smartest people who disagree with him, just to see if he is missing something vital. He constantly worries about what he is missing. Even with billions of dollars under management, he operates with the intense paranoia that he might be wrong. That is the grand paradox of success. The people who are the absolute most successful in life are the most terrified of their own ignorance. The people who are failing miserably are the ones walking around with absolute, unwavering certainty. They are the dumb shits with a confident opinion. You have to realize that your feelings are completely irrelevant to the machine. You have nothing to fear from the truth. The truth might be scary in the short term. It might mean you have to scrap a massive project you worked on for an entire month. It might mean you have to admit you are not as good at your job as you thought you were. But the first-order consequences of radical truth are painful, while the second and third-order consequences are absolute greatness. You suffer the sting to your ego today so you can build a massive, bulletproof empire tomorrow. This brings me to the operator reality and how I actually apply this at NexYear. At NexYear, the stakes are simply too high for me to let my ego run the room. Let us say I personally design a massive VIP logistics deployment for a major festival. I spend 3 weeks mapping out the entire supply chain flow. I think the design is an absolute masterpiece. I present the entire routing schematic to the logistics team. Now, if I have built a pathetic culture of yes men, they are all going to sit there and clap for me. They are going to tell me I am a genius and stroke my ego. But let us say there is a fatal flaw in the transit times that I completely missed because I was too close to the project. If they stroke my ego, we execute a deeply flawed plan. The trucks do not show up, the VIPs are stranded, the client is furious, and the entire deployment is a catastrophic disaster. My ego does not deliver the physical asset. My ego does not clear the invoice. Reality delivers the asset. So, if a 20-year-old junior vendor looks at my master plan and says, Drew, this routing makes absolutely no sense, and you completely miscalculated the highway transit times, I do not get offended. I do not pull rank on him. I do not tell him to stay in his lane and respect my authority. I reward him. I thank him in front of the entire team, because that junior vendor just saved the company from a massive failure. He prioritized the truth over my feelings, and that is exactly what I demand from my day one crew. We do not have the time or the energy for office politics. We do not have the luxury of coddling fragile egos when millions of dollars are on the line. If you want extreme freedom and extreme success, You have to operate with extreme loyalty to the truth. I do not care if the best idea comes from me, my co-founder, or the guy sweeping the warehouse floor. We implement the best idea. Period. That is what a true idea meritocracy looks like in the wild. It is not a cute theory you read in a business book. It is a mandatory survival mechanism. If I let my ego run the room at NexYear, we would be out of business in 6 months. We would be making decisions based on pride instead of data. And the market aggressively crushes pride. The market is a ruthless truth-telling machine. It does not care about your good intentions, and it certainly does not care about your feelings. This brings me to the universal Tycoon standard. You do not have to be running a massive logistics company or a Wall Street hedge fund for this to apply to you. This applies to every single person listening to this podcast right now. Whether you are a student, an athlete, a mid-level employee, or just someone trying to level up your basic existence. You have to stop lying to yourself, and you have to stop letting other people lie to you. How many of you are stuck in a miserable dead-end job because you completely refuse to admit you lack the skills to actually get promoted? How many of you are entirely out of shape because you surround yourself with friends who tell you that you look great just the way you are? How many of you have terrible toxic relationships because you get wildly defensive the second your partner brings up a completely valid critique? You are actively choosing comfort over reality. You are choosing the warm illusion of being right over the painful process of actually getting better. You need to strip away your ego right now. You need to build your life entirely on reality. If you absolutely suck at something, admit it. Say it out loud to the people around you. Say, I am a dumb shit when it comes to this specific topic. Who can help me? That is not weakness. That is the ultimate operator flex. It shows you are so secure in your pursuit of the final goal that you do not care how stupid you look while you are getting there. Audit your inner circle today. Look closely at the people you spend the absolute most time with. Do they actively challenge you? Do they point out your massive blind spots? Or do they just nod and validate every single stupid decision you make? If you are surrounded by yes men, you are the chief architect of your own failure. You have essentially trapped yourself in a locked room with a bunch of funhouse mirrors. You have no idea what you actually look like, and you have no idea how the real world actually operates. You have to invite the pain. You have to openly welcome the criticism. When someone points out a massive flaw in your game, your immediate response should be, thank you, please show me the data. Do not get mad. Get curious. Triangulate their critical opinion with other believable people in your life. If 3 believable people are telling you that you have a tail, you should probably turn around and look. Do not fight the truth. Embrace it. Adapt to it, and use it to build a significantly better machine. This brings us to the final takeaway for the episode. This is your blunt directive for the week. Stop surrounding yourself with yes men. Stop prioritizing your fragile ego over your actual progress. Start demanding the absolute truth from yourself and from everyone around you. Build your own personal idea, meritocracy in your daily life. Let the absolute best ideas win, no matter where they come from. Kill your defensiveness dead in its tracks. Because at the end of the day, reality is coming for you whether you like it or not. You can either hide from it and get crushed, or you can face it, use it, and win. That is the short game. I will see you next week.